to my zone, but this isn't home. Nah, please set up my phone, I ain't staying long. Flexing on you fakes, I ain't bend a bone. Call this culture, fuck with the code of honor. They be faking and making it rain with the stolen thunder. Some of y'all be dealing with snow, kick up your nose. Ironic that the sickest to win is developing cold. For motherfuck you waste mans, they skin pillin', fit feeling cultural spray can. Drinking Henny, pretending it brings enjoyment when y'all ain't even never comfortable in your own sin. I don't need rap to double the stacks. Front of the class, divided in dividends, fuck up the math. Look at the bag, 70 racks independent of cash. Call up the deputy, y'all ain't got equity, don't give a fuck about cash. Don't got a many, but do them for Mac. They send it a look at the past. Fuck all these niggas, they trash, smoke up and look and relax. And put the phone down, put the phone down. Attention, there's no bounds, remember what's going round. My enemies go down, vengeance is profound. But you lost your professionalism, oh wow. Fucking deputy in all town, I'ma never leave the old house. Unapologetic, if you diabetic, I'm the swinging every hole. Y'all been ducking, diving daily, couldn't get a fuck about your neighbors. Y'all got stuck and now you blame it, couldn't get enough from all those favors, huh? Ducking, diving gamers, couldn't get a bundle, so you're saving up for the stage you at any game, so you can't save this shit or control your life. Sensitive, privileged bitches developing fearless. Had to get cancer to see all the benefits. Pulled out your debit and realized the zeros was too much to settle. So you switching parties like Copo invaded it. But still be protesting the brutality that my brothers is facing. Ay, y'all some faking bitches, fuck your favorite dishes. If it ain't got healthy, then I take the exit. Big bets, big change. Feel the spectrum of emotion in a range. I'm in my bag, I don't need rap to double the stacks. Front of the class, divided in dividends, fuck up the math. Look at the bag, 70 racks independent of cash. Call up the deputy, y'all ain't got equity, don't give a fuck about cash. I'm in my bag, I don't need rap to double the stacks. Front of the class, divided in dividends, fuck up the math. Look at the bag, 70 racks independent of cash. Call up the deputy, y'all ain't got equity, don't give a fuck about cash. Tell me why they say they stay, then they always go. Cause I don't want no one beside me when I'm riding home. That driver's cold got me turning heel, I can't find my soul. Got a sold out arena of thoughts inside my dome, and I cannot supply the show. It's been a minute, but I still get it. When you behind my bars, I know that you still fear the sentence. But I never listen or levels to anything. So when you mention it, where there is, know that I'm your enemy. I am a hypocrite living, a bit of the inner is missed. The imminent hurt, fuck it, put him in the dirt, it's a better way to deal with. It's turning me cynical, burning the medical, I feed my ego. Claim that I don't need to go, but really I feel like Vegeta. I need a bomber, someone would drive beyond the tours. My mind like Yoba, multiple voices trying to control you. I rolled the dice, found myself a material vice. Felt the patience over generations, but forcing my lesser
this is for the players in the back with the show. Got your neck iced out, hot and insecurities. Hitting on these hoes with the gold, your priority. Got your presidential distance, sweet to your authority. I'ma run the road without a roll, you're a chain. I know my flow strong when I'm rolling to the bank. I'ma run the game, I'ma run the game, I'ma run the game.
Tell me why they say they stay, then they always go. Still I'm hoping you beside me when it's time to blow. I'm on my own, pray my cynicism don't find a home. So when you jump into conclusions, you'll Geronimo, or you might end up on your own. It's been a minute since I tried to mend a friendship. We don't gotta be fucking if both we benefiting. But if you ask me, I'ma bend it, hit it, end of sentence. Pray that you don't hit me and get offended, we're reminiscing. I'ma get the dome run, fuck that emotional junk, yeah. Don't look at me like I'm a copy of that Louis Vuitton, no. Am I a sinner to mention my inner condition and deepest desires? You gotta bring it and figure out children and bring up new life. I'ma just throw these lies under the rug and over my eyes, feeding me slugs from bullets of love, but the gun's not loaded right. I'm borderline, non-commitment been normalized. Melted patience over generations, been forced by us to break over
This is for the
ties.
players in the back with the shouty. Got your neck iced out, hiding insecurities. Hitting on these hoes with the gold, your priority. But your presidential doesn't speak to your authority. I'ma run the road without a rollie or a chain. I know my flow's strong when I'm rolling to the bank. I'ma run the game, I'ma run the game, I'ma run the game. Put me down, bring me up. Lone wolf in these streets and I don't give a. Call me Kuma, bitches racist. Light up in the room, leave you fooled by faded.
I'm gonna break a bone, I'm gonna break a bone. I've been thinking wrong, shit my conscience can't condone. Yeah, cracker blokes, why you cracking jokes? I'm at your folks, backing dope, slam the dope. I am the manifestation of having no patience, hope. In the back and I'm waiting to flatten your face and I'll have no mo. His man don't wanna talk, man don't wanna talk.
Ratting in the dark, phantom of the ops.
Pitch a Manzari, hustle Minaj, hustling hard. Don't play the lousy, I'm sorry, I fuck with your card. You terrible fam, I don't care if you rap, I don't fuck with the bars. Wanna be a black offspring, but still don't fuck with the march. What's up with that? I'ma bust right back. Retaliation, we tan your face, this your color back. Ready to die? Front to back. Got the T.I. with the B.I. Now we fucking at.
All these motherfuckers, 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 all these.
Put me down, bring me up. Lone wolf in these streets and I don't give a. Call me Kuma, bitches racist. Light up in the room, leave you fooled by
I like my
faded.
curry with the side of butter, nah, bitch. Ain't got no worries, but the claim that I'm a convict. Yeah, I've been away, been doing 300 records a day.
But when you hearing the buzz from your record, so all you can think is Guantanamo Bay.
No, I won't give you validation for fragility. Whoa, I've been running this same race since I was mini-me. Damn, I still probably give you power for that whackness. Damn. But this the 6, I check the hour and you're back, bitch. I've been living in culture of riches, about the world bitches. They fuck out the pressure, I'm here as the witness of variable sickness. My heritage is the shit to be getting with imminent. It's the threat of them appearing to stick my revisit it now. I'm pausing the scene and I'm looking around, looking right now at
all these motherfuckers, 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 all these.
John, eh? More like Ramakrishna. Yeah, right, buddy, like your name is John.
Put me down, bring me up. Lone wolf in these streets and I don't give a. Call me Kuma, bitches racist. Light up in the room, leave you fooled by faded.
Kind of took me being confident in myself.
Layers and levels and just adding 5%. can't believe you can do that in an hour. Holy crap.
Oh shit, we're live?
Remember
We're not live yet, right, Danny?
Remember what you were saying about awkward intros? Go ahead.
Oh shit, we're live. What's up? Yo, I'm Rohan.
I'm DJ AP.
And we are Keralanka, and this is episode 7 of the Keralanka Show. So welcome. Before we dive into today's amazing episode, we want to just quickly spend some time explaining the foundations of this show. And hey, don't look at the question, Scratch. No spoilers.
What's the habit?
But I'm gonna close that book. But yeah, we're just gonna quickly explain the foundations of this show, just for any first-time viewers, just so you guys get an idea of what's going on here. So some of y'all might be familiar with the concept of intersectionality. It's the idea that people of different genders, backgrounds, ethnicities, etc., need to work together in order to achieve a common goal.
And on this show, we want to explore the question of what if we applied intersectionality to the world of art?
Yeah, so we have a really dope lineup of creatives, entrepreneurs, artists, etc., that not only apply the concept of intersectionality to their art, but also to their lifestyle.
We talk to the guest, create a beat, and live happily ever after.
And this is the first time that AP is not blanked out on the intro, so shout out to AP for that. That's a milestone.
I have this habit of zoning out whenever it's my line. I'm just like,
what's going on? Yeah, so without further ado, we want to introduce our amazing guest for episode 7 of the Keralanka Show. He's an incredible DJ who's toured the world internationally with amazing acts like Russel Peters, Usher. He's DJ'd 5 times a day at one point on Flow 93.5. A lot of us have literally been raised by this man. Literally, all right? Like on our drive home or whatever at work. And most importantly, though, he's an amazing human who constantly supports others in the Toronto creative community and constantly pushes new ideas forward. Can we make some noise for DJ Starting From Scratch? Is that the Queen wave? Or?
Thank you, yes. Things I learned along the way in my travels.
I love it. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Doing
Thank
good
you.
this morning? Busy morning with the
My
kids?
first beanbag interview, so this
Beanbag interview.
Should be
That's how we
fun.
do. Yeah, I promise I'm not a bean. It's like people not from Toronto are tuning in. Like, what's a bean? Oh, thanks, Cheyenne. I'm funny.
delayed laugh track.
But
the Seinfeld cue.
the Seinfeld awkward humor, man. I love that shit. But yeah, man, packed morning. Obviously, thank you a lot for making it through. We just had a really dope lunch, caught up. Shout outs to Tony, who's also here.
Tough cat.
You already know. Yeah, we like to dive right into it, to the Keralanka Show. But before we do that, I'm just going to explain the logistics for the viewers at home of how this goes down. So this is how it goes down in the Keralanka Show. So first of all, AP and I are going to be rotating here at the interview station, asking Scratch different questions. While one of us is here, the other one of us is going to be at the creative station, building a beat in real time, inspired by his answers. And finally, stay tuned for the end of the show, where we're going to show you the beat, and then we all live happily ever after. Dope. All right, cool. So we like skipping the small talk here on the Keralanka Show, and we get right to the depth. So our first question for you, Scratch, is what has been your latest epiphany? Yo, he told it. Yo, yeah, go ahead.
He told us to surprise him, so.
My latest epiphany.
We done hit you with that.
That's a question I've definitely never been asked
give you a
before in my life.
breakdown, but no.
Even if you gave me a breakdown, I still wouldn't have been able to think of something.
Word. Okay. Take your time.
I don't know. I have daily epiphanies. It's always revolves around music of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Like, trying to figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to compete with the masses out there. But the epiphany always just ends up being just, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, really. It's nothing groundbreaking, but I've always managed to, jump over the hurdles and stay in my lanes and make new lanes, always with the same theory of I've never been a long-term thinker. Mm-hmm. So my epiphanies are always short drawn epiphanies. And it's just always been like, it'll always just come down to, just do what you're best at, basically. You know what I mean? Like, being in the situation we all live in now it's constant competition. Yeah. Always. It's never ending. From the time you pick up your phone to anything, it's just constant competition. And it's always with ourselves at the most part. That's an ongoing struggle. And that's why when you ask me epiphany, it would always be the same thing. It would just be like, just realizing that I just need to keep doing what has gotten me here so far.
Yeah. And like you say, it's like not that big of a thing, but it's like I feel like in this day and age, it's also so easy for like artists in general just to get lost in the noise of like.
And there's a lot of noise.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise, like we were talking about before, and
A lot of trash. Sorry, go on.
There is.
yeah, no, there's a lot of noise, and it's like it's easy as an artist to be like, what's everyone else doing? Like, why am I not doing that? And like kind of get lost in it. But then I think that's like an important epiphany, especially if it's like a daily epiphany. It's like it's one of those thoughts that's always important to have, to be just like, oh, I'm gonna stick to what got me here and just like work on my craft and what I know I'm good at, right?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't wish they could wake up and you know, be anything they want it to be and have things just fall into their lap like that, but it doesn't work like that. And now it's so much harder to get to where you need to go in most cases because there's, like we talked about, a competition and all these other things that the best thing you can do is just perfect, you know, figure out your target and perfect as much as you can to getting close to perfection as you can at achieving that, and then just shoot for it. I mean, you have to kind of train yourself. I never had to back in the days, but now I force myself to train myself to not acknowledge competition. You know what I mean? I kind of adopted that early in the 2000s because through the 90s, there was always competition, but not that it didn't matter, but I didn't stress on it because I was doing very well. You know what I mean? And I knew I was doing well. I knew I still had ways to go. I could get a lot better. But it was always a lingering competition thing with me, but I didn't dwell on it. And then I found as more people came into it, you have no choice but to dwell on it. And then, like I say, in the early 2000s, I just kind of looked at myself again and I was like, you know, basically fuck everybody else. And the same talk I have with myself, like the daily talk, is like, you're here for a reason. You know, 30 years later, I'm still here. I'm still relevant.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm still doing what I love to do.
Still doing it like no other.
I'm not. I haven't had to compromise. Thank you. Haven't had to compromise. Haven't had to compromise myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've still been able to do what I do, and I'm just. I hate the words fortunate and lucky, but I guess I am fortunate in the sense that I'm able to do it 30 years later. But I had to, you know, live by that mantra of basically screw everybody else. No one else matters.
Yeah.
Or else I would just drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
And I've been really struggling with that again now, like the past 2-3 years, where it's really hit me hard because of social media and because I know my presence on social media isn't nearly where I should be. I just, you know, you succumb to the pressures, and I'm still never been a social media whore. But it really started to affect me. Like it's caused a lot of internal damage to me. You know what I mean? And it affects my outgoing moods, and it's very damaging. Like it's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Like, to put it lightly.
Yeah. No. For sure,
Social media is all that. You know what I mean? Especially when you're held in a position like I've been doing it so long, so I'm held in a certain position.
Yeah.
Mind you, I put myself in that holding section a lot of times. Because it's a lot of stress to stay in a certain spot or be that guy for 30 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's a long time.
Yeah, since I came into the scene, there was a lot of factors that made me the noticed guy from coming into the scene. My color, the music I was playing, I wasn't from here. You know what I mean? So there was those factors why I got the stares and why, you know, while there were a lot of negative things that came out of it, there were a lot of positives because of who I was and you know, my color and I wasn't in my scene and all that stuff. Yeah. So dealing with all that all these years and the amount of, you know, shit from promoters, and it's a dirty business, you know what I mean? It's not a fun business. You have to make it fun. You know, it's a very dirty business, very cutthroat, you know, it's a lot of fake smiles, it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
So dealing with all that, it's only like the past 3 years where it really kind of smacked me because I know my stock is going down. I understand that. Right. You know what I mean? Everybody's stock is kind of going down because there's more people rising.
Right.
So it's like, unless you're like a Khaled or somebody who's a 24-hour social media whore, you can't raise your it's very hard to raise your profile publicly. Being that kind of guy, like I'm a recluse. Right now, I'm not necessarily a recluse by nature, but over the years I've become more of a recluse. Which is so, I've never been, like, I could have been way bigger than I was. You know what I mean? I've done very well for myself, but I could have been, you know, these Khaleds and all that. And I had the opportunities to travel, but I never wanted to be out 300 days of the year, and I didn't want to. I never liked being introduced, and I never liked spotlights, and I never liked the stage, and I never liked being in front of the camera. But
except on the Keralanka Show, right?
Yeah, this is a different atmosphere for me, so it's cool. But I've never been the A-type personality of the person I should have been.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you look at, your Capris and all these other DJs that are legendary DJs and stuff, minus a Jazzy Jeff, because he's different, but a lot of these guys hold the same traits. They're very arrogant, they're very cocky, they're very and there's nothing wrong with that. Not my personal cup of tea, but... Yeah. And you see it now with a lot of these young guys are very arrogant. I'm this, I'm that, with no background. You know what I mean? So
no proven track record.
No proven track record. But again, as we talked about, it's so easy to do that now because anybody can make themselves look like a star.
Yeah.
It's perception is everything, right? So it's like, dealing with all those stuff along the ways and knowing that I was always different, which did help me. Like, it always helped me. I was playing music that people that in that scene weren't playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what made me famous in a sense, even though I don't like that word either, but that's what got me my notoriety is that, I was that guy that was, not only was I mixing, but I was mixing all these different types of music and I wasn't supposed to, like, how are you doing that stuff? And it worked, you know what I mean? So it was just all that stuff and everything was going fine. And then now it's like I say, the past 3 years, the pressure's really got to me and it's like, I had to stop. Like I stopped in December and I read Charlemagne's book on anxiety and stuff because that's another thing that came up with me. But I read his book and one of his biggest things was like you have to just pull yourself away from social media because it is the devil in a sense, right? Like a lot of people use it for great, cool, but in the end of it all, it's the devil.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that in some I'm not some spiritual religious guy, but it is.
Yeah,
it takes you away from your family. It takes you away. Like, it takes you away from all the things that you should gravitate,
really
that should naturally be yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know it gets bad when, my son who's 4 will look at me like, oh, get off your phone. And I was like, after a while, I was like, fuck, I need to get off my phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if this kid notices he's 4 years old, like,
crazy.
You know what I mean?
That's so true.
Adults we don't notice that because I expect you guys to be on your phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but it's like when
but
a
it's
kid
true.
says it's like, oh damn.
You read because they're so innocent and they only see what they see. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't know. But he knows that when I'm on my phone, I'm working. So daddy's always working. So it's like over the years, all that stuff kind of got to me. And I was just like, it really kind of slapped me. And I was like, I can't, not that I can't do this because this is all I know how to do. This is all I can do. But it's just, I had to pick who I wanted to be. And I know I'm not this guy.
Right.
I force myself to do that. Like, I have to remind myself, post one thing today.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy when you think about it. I'm like, I have to. It's
have
like
to.
reminding yourself, drink water. You know, like it's like
crazy. Yeah.
I'll just be sitting and then I'll look at my phone. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't post in like 3 days. Post something, bang. You know what I mean? And then you start. Of course, once you start doing it, then you're looking at the likes and how come this guy got so many likes and a garbage and then it starts all over again.
And that's something we're definitely going to dive into too.
Yeah, but it's like it's so. I don't even remember where this question started, but
oh, it's all good. No, I think we got your like. It sounds like that epiphany is just a daily epiphany you have, and
basically that was it. And so now I have to just reinforce that daily. It's just like, just be happy with who you are. You know, my wife helped me a lot with that because she saw like everything was changing with me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like my body language was changing, my energy. I was getting snappy. Nothing was. I just couldn't find my rhythm again, and I'm still struggling with that now. But I just have to, like, the only affirmations and epiphany and affirmation, same thing. I guess epiphany is different because it shouldn't be forced on myself, but they kind of go the same with me.
Yeah.
No.
Whereas I have to tell myself, like, just be good who you are. You've survived this long. You don't have to do what you don't like to do. Like, I can make a living being happy and playing the music I want to play. And, if they can call me old, they can call me whatever they want. I don't really care. I am older. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm still surviving, and I'm still able to do very successful stuff. And I've never had to compromise myself and be unhappy in what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's dope. Thank you for sharing that. That's really dope. And I can't wait to continue.
Hey, good night, Cleveland. We're out of here.
That's the whole interview. We're good. We're done. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, Shit, we're supposed to make a beat.
Speaking of the beat,
Oh,
Hold on, before you guys start that.
Yes.
I don't know what that's
No,
for.
no.
but-
Well,
Where
we'll
did
tell you.
I wanted to know, where did the Keralanka come from?
The name?
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, let's go, AP.
All right, so
you.
one day after we decided we're gonna make music together and we started making music together, basically we sat down at a coffee shop and we're like, let's brainstorm some names. So we came up with some horrible names.
So we were basically trying to find what's common between us. So we're like, all right, you're from Mississauga, I'm from Brampton. The 410 plus the 403 divided by 2. Let's be 407.5. Yo, there's some terrible names.
There's a whole list. I'm glad we chose this one. So basically the reason we chose this is because he's from Kerala, I'm from Sri Lanka.
Kerala's a state in India, and I think what we stand for is that unapologetic representation, while also being ourselves and not being pigeonholed. We also want to unapologetically display our own cultures.
Yeah.
And so I think that's sort of where that came from.
Yeah.
To be honest, even when we put that down on paper, we were kind of like, oh, that's
Like
funny.
we laughed at it at first, and then I like
And it
made
just
the
grew.
face of like,
Wait.
that's
it
actually
has
kind
a
of
ring to it,
interesting.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like let's sleep on this. We've been at it for like 3
Yeah.
hours now. It's like I mean now at that point everything sounds good. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, 3
great
hours.
idea. But I
Yeah.
woke up the next morning, I was like that's
This sticks.
Yeah.
That's the one,
Appreciate
you know?
appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Because I don't think we've ever even explained that. So
on the show.
yeah,
never.
thank you. Cool.
Now it all makes sense to you guys.
Hey, appreciate it. So cool. So we're gonna get started. One of us is gonna go to the creative station, but we don't know who. So what we want you to do is
Steal your money.
yeah, a lot
I
of
mean,
pressure
sure,
here.
if you-
I hope you're a good coin flipper. And then AP's gonna call it. And did you call it last week? Should I call it?
You can call it.
All right, I'll call it, and
Ready?
then we'll decide there. Heads.
Went off his socks, so it might not count. It's tails.
What is
It's
it?
tails.
It's tails, huh? Okay. What's up, AP?
I'm going to stay here for the first round.
Okay, I'll go start the beat, and then I'll see you in 5 minutes.
There's no dramatic walking to the beat section music. There you go.
I guess there we go. I mean, I wouldn't describe it as dramatic, but I mean, it's something. All right, so as someone who's been in the game for like, what? It's almost 30 years now.
30
right?
years, yeah, pretty much.
It's 29 this year or?
Legally.
Oh, okay.
Professionally,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, 29. Shh.
Since it became a professional, yeah.
Okay. So
2015 was chosen for marketing reason, but yeah, it's probably 30 now. Yeah, so
okay, so what's kept you going at this for so long? Like doing something for that long. Like, what's the motivation every day when you wake up?
it's just my passion for music. I mean, music always changes, so there's always stuff. You know, even if it's old music and you discover it for the first time, it's new music. You know what I mean? So it's a never ending thing. Like every day, I'm out there finding music, old and new. And every time I find a song that I love, it just inspires me, you know, to create something else. It's just all I know how to do. Like, I've been in music since a baby. You know what I mean? Like, my family, everything's always been music in my family. And see how I told you I'm fidgety? Like, my wife laughs at me because this is actually how I sleep. Like, my
way.
foot is like going to a beat and stuff. Like, I'm constant.
great.
Anything
No
I
way.
hear, it just turns
replaying
into
in your
music.
head.
It's like I
That's-
have a hamster on a wheel in there. It was just like grabbing sounds and just throwing it all in, and it just
I
keeps
do
going.
a similar thing with my head bobbing. Like,
Yeah.
these guys will always call it out. Like, we'll be in a conversation, and like I'll just zone out, and like I'll just start bobbing my head. Well, but I'm still listening to what they're saying. But
No,
like,
you're not.
I kind of am.
Guaranteed you're not.
I'm like.
Even while you're talking, I'm not listening to you. So
I'd like to say I'm like 25% there when I'm bobbing my head. You know, the other 75%, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, it's just I'm just thinking of a beat, or I'm just like,
everything
I
is
can do
rhythmic.
this. Yeah.
Somebody taps their finger, like everything is just turns into music. So it's just, it's just, and I think the fact that, you know, in any field that I've gone into within the music and within DJing, I've always been able to just be me, which always helps. Like, I've never gotten to that miserable stage where I hated going to work, or I'm playing in clubs
that you don't want to like play at, or like
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a DJ, you understand that. Like, we were just talking about
Yeah.
that, but it's like, I always said to myself, once that happens, I won't do it. You know, I've never been, I'm not a wedding guy.
Right. Yeah.
I still get offered weddings every week.
Yeah.
And I turn them down. It's never been my thing. So I don't do things just for the money. I do things because I love doing them. And
for
all the
passion.
parties and events I've created ever since I started, have been to please that crowd. I always call it like my music lovers crowd. Well, really push the boundaries, you know, and just do the craziest stuff. But there's people for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody likes something.
Yeah, and there's
So
like a
and they
market
don't
for
get
everything,
it, and they don't get it, and they don't get it the way I'll give it to them. You know what I mean? For what I'm doing. And it's just like anything. I mean, DJing, artists, everything is personal taste.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure not everybody likes me, and that's cool. That kind of stuff I can handle because I know there's enough that do.
Yeah. And it's like
and as long as people want to hear me play music, I'll always be playing music.
Yeah, and like that's like it just comes down to like your own personal definition of success at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right?
and I think that's very important that you say that too, because then I say that to a lot. Like when I do speaking engagements at schools and so forth, I just did one with this great company called Math Through Music, and we did it at a school in Brampton.
Oh, nice.
And it was the same thing, and you know, I guess they had it sectioned off. They had different parts of the business, and I was the DJ aspect of it. And kids sit around the table, and I'm asking kids, you know, why do you want to become a DJ, and all these questions. And most of the answers, you know, either money or I want to do this or I want to do that. And I was like, okay,
cool.
How do you plan on getting there? Like, it's not that easy anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to make money nowadays.
Yeah, and it's also like very easy to, if that's like what you're going in with, it's like very easy to just fall off and not maintain.
And I mean,
like, there's no real drive there, right?
That might be, you know, a generational thing. I mean, I've always been driven. Since I can remember, I've had jobs. From when I lived in Montreal, I moved there when I was 14, so even like 12 years old, 11, I remember getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, riding my bike and throwing papers at people's doors. I did that, you know what I mean, with no purpose. What am I going to spend my money on?
Yeah. True.
But it's just always, you know, it was just always that thing. When I lived with my mom, I had to pay rent. You know what I mean? So it's just always been in me. Just I had no choice. I didn't come from a rich family.
Right.
We weren't poor, but I wasn't rich.
Right.
So whatever I wanted, I had to get for myself.
Yeah.
So
just had to work for it. Yeah.
That's what it was. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think generation. I mean, I spoil my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like you want to give them what you didn't have, right? Yeah.
So I mean, my kid's 4. He has an iPad. My daughter's 5. She has an iPad. Their own iPads. It's just crazy. Yeah. But again, it's like I think that's the norm now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
You see these kids in high school and they all had phones, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's crazy.
And you could bring your phones in class. I'm like, Jesus, Murphy.
Oh yeah, I remember when I
found
that out from my like little cousins.
I'm from the school of Hilroy. Like we had our Hilroy books and our duotangs, and that was our phone. You know what I mean?
Shout outs Hilroy. You guys should sponsor us with some
notebooks. I don't even know if they exist anymore. I don't even know if they use in schools anymore. But I think that's a generational thing, and I think like everything they're fed is just everybody makes everything seem like it's so easy. Like you see why the Kardashians look how rich they are, and what did they do to get there?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's like who really knows?
Well, we know, but we know how they got there. But I mean, at least the new generation of them is actually working for their money.
Yeah.
But you see it in everything. Like everything looks so easy and attainable, and everything's just right there at your fingertips. I can get that. I can be this guy, and I can be, you know, Murder Beats, and I can be all these other guys. All I need is a computer, and it's not so easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it was for some of them. So it's just like I'm glad I grew up from my own school of hard knocks, and I had to work my ass off because that's let me sustain for so long. Like if I got into this quick, I would have been out quick. I've seen, trust me, I've been all through these years where DJs and they're better than scratch, and they can kill scratch, and then you know a couple of years later this
just fall off. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if they were really better, then where are they now? You know what I mean? And that's not an ego thing. That has nothing to do with that. I'm just when we talked about competition before, that's why I could never do that. I would have drove myself crazy trying to compete with this guy and this crew, and they all had crews, and I'm by myself. You know what I mean? I never had an MC. I've always been by myself. You know what I mean? I've always. I know we talked about small circle and keeping circles small, but I've always been like that. There's been a shit ton of leeches along the way, but I've always kept Tough Cat will be the first to tell you, like, the circle is super small. You know what I mean? Like, that's why when you guys said you could bring, like, 2 people, I was like, I don't even know if I can think of 2 people that I would bring here. You know what I mean? Because I don't. Like, it's always been, like, me, Tough Cat. You know, I had my boy Henry back in the day. My boy Tim, who works with me now, that was really it. Like of people that I could rely on and be like, I got to get somewhere and I got to go somewhere, and they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think all those factors just played into how I was able to be here for this long. Like I never fell victim to the I'm the shit and I'm this and I'm that, or I'm gonna buy this. And I drove a Honda Odyssey for like 10 years, going to gig. I didn't care. You know, people are like, oh, where's the car? I was like, that's my car.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's dope.
That stuff never bothered me. Like this is me. I'm dressed up now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is me.
Yeah.
This is my dress up suit.
That's
but
dope.
I'm like, I've always been like that. So I don't know what, I guess you can, that's from just my upbringing or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's just, I've always managed to just stay the same. You know what I mean? Like it kills me when I see people on social media and I know how they are. And you can just tell it's force fed, but again, it's to each their own. You know what I mean? If it works for them, go for it. It's just like I said, I've never fit the profile of who I am supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's super dope, and have
And
a lot of
long,
inspiration here. No, but like now I have a lot of inspiration, so I'm gonna head over to the creative station now. And now Rohan is gonna go hit this guy. oh no, he's listening. Okay, he's gonna come interview now.
That means he wasn't working.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Let's go.
Oh yeah, he wasn't working. Hey, how'd you hear me?
Yeah, the headphones were on, he wouldn't have heard you.
They're open earphones, you know what I mean? Don't worry, I'm not like peeping in their conversation or anything.
Oh, you guys aren't. This is like Price is Right. You're not supposed to.
Exactly, yeah. It's the game show. We're trying to.
When they put you in that booth and you're not supposed to hear the other answers.
It's like ideal. We actually
that's
don't
not
know
Price is
about
Right.
each other's
Forget about
questions, so that's a pretty cool part. We just make sure there's no overlap, so we send it to Danny. But
Talk shit about him. See if he's listening.
yo, AP, you're trash, bro. You're so trash.
He might be crying though.
Like, yo,
Man,
are
I
you about to
realize-
ruin this beat right now? Yeah, he doesn't hear me. That's a good, there we go. Cool. So my question for you, Scratch, is obviously you've had some incredible experiences, like traveling the world, working with like such a plethora of people, like influential people, and you're so influential yourself. Obviously traveling the world, like touring with like Russell and like Usher, etc. Spinning 5 times a day for Flow 93.5, which is like insane. And experiencing all of this, like, I want to know how you bring it back home. And I don't mean, when I say home, I don't necessarily mean just, like, Toronto. I mean, like, how do you stay, like, grounded and humble and sort of bring it back to the roots of why you started DJing?
I think that's pretty much the question you just asked me, but...
Shit. Thought there's no overlap.
kind of what we were talking about for this whole time, but... yeah, I don't really want to go through all that again.
All right, it's all good. So, like, what would you say the core difference is, like, throughout time, right? It's been 30 years now, or 25, 30, right? What's the core difference in how you view DJing as a craft and profession now versus, like, 25 years ago?
I mean, it was... The biggest part was it was harder to become a DJ back then, so you took it more seriously.
Okay.
It wasn't as easy to become a DJ. You had to have money. You know what I mean? You had to be able to buy records. You had to have equipment, all that stuff. This is before laptops. So if you didn't have the physical stuff, you weren't able to even try it out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just, I think all that being said, when you work hard enough to get something, you treat it with more respect. You know what I mean? Like anything. You work hard to get that $10, you're going to think about spending that $10 just as fast. Whereas if I just give you $10, you go spend it anywhere you want. You know what I mean? If you work your ass off for it, you're going to think about it first. So I think because it was so hard to become a DJ in itself, I just and it's always something I had a passion for. I mean, even before I knew it existed, I kind of knew it existed. I just had never seen it physically or tried it. And I think just ever since I tried it, it's just passion always takes over for me. Passion is everything. So I'm so passionate about it that I treat it with the ultimate respect, and I know I think that whole generation thought of it the same way. I don't think people were really getting into it just for the buck, because like I said, you had to spend a lot of money.
It doesn't make sense. It almost doesn't make sense
exactly to make minimal money. You know what I mean? Most DJs would probably never go in the black. You know what I mean? Most are probably always in the red because you're spending hundreds weekly to make hundreds weekly. You know what I mean? So I think that whole thing just changes the way people treat it. Now you can literally do it off your phone, So how much respect is somebody really going to have for it? You know what I mean? How much respect can you really have for DJing when you're seeing, Paris Hiltons and these other guys who are quote unquote DJs are using the title of DJs, and they're basically a bag of shit, or they're mailing it in, or they're playing pre-recorded mixes.
Or they're literally playing pre-recorded mixes, right?
mean.
You've seen that. I think it was Swedish House Mafia. Like his fucking controller was literally disconnected from the computer.
But them, I'll give them a bit of
no,
credit.
they're dope.
They're really they're actually real DJs. I get it for some guys on a performance level. Yes, extreme. But I mean, Tiesto and all these guys, they're Backbone Guetta. They're all
real DJs,
hip hop based DJs. They all really are. So they all have the background. I know they can all DJ. I'm not even talking about those guys. Those guys deserve to get where they are now. Mm-hmm. They have to sell their soul to get there, but they deserve to be up there. But yeah, I'm talking about, your average wannabe up and comer who just picks it up and thinks that it's that easy. And I can tell that by talking, like we talked about how I went to schools and talked to them.
Yep.
And when talking to these kids, they just think it's so easy. Like everybody thinks it's so easy.
Right.
The A and B of it is, I guess, technically, you could say it's easy. You're just pressing play and you're playing a song. Cool. There's way more to it. You know what I mean? There's so many factors to your question you asked. Like, it's the crowd, it's the music, it's the DJs itself. So it's like...
Beyond the DJs itself, what about when you take a gig now? Like, how do you sort of view improving your own craft now versus 30 years ago?
Improving, I mean, I'm always trying to improve my craft. The main thing is just keeping up with the technology.
Okay.
So for me, it's just, most technology I have in anything, I'm very simplistic with it, but I use it efficiently. So it's like you may give me a mixer with 100 features, and I'll take 5 of them and beat the shit out of those 5, as opposed to learning 100. So I've always been like that. With my phone, with my watch, I'll always meet people and they're like, you can do that? And I'll be like, really? I have no clue.
I don't even know. Yeah.
I'm going to the gym and I'm asking my wife, like, how do I set this thing to do my steps at the gym?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't even know. My kids like grab my stuff and they're like, do this. And I'm like, okay.
Watch, yeah.
So I think for me, the biggest thing now, is this, new mixer comes out. How do I don't ever want to do things to not be me.
Got you.
So I always try to, how can I take, now, I mean, technology is beautiful because now all the things I had in my head that used to take me, I would have to grab like 3-4 records physically and do them on the fly. Now I can do them not with ease, but I can actually get it out of my head and do it the way I want it to sound, which is amazing. But again, that being said, if I didn't have that training of literally, stacking the records and doing it I wouldn't be able to do it like I can right now. So it's like, not that it's second nature, but in a sense, I still treat it like it's the old school stuff, the old school equipment, but I just realize what it is in front of my face. And I kind of, find that middle ground, a happy middle ground, so I don't feel like the old guy who doesn't know anything about technology, even though I'm the old guy who doesn't know
But you're not
anything.
embracing it so much that you forget about the foundations and the hard work, the sweat that it took to actually get
And
to
I've
that
always, the biggest struggle... not the biggest, but a big struggle too I have is that, like, I'll play parties and, some of my boys will be like, oh, you got to dumb it down for this crowd because they're not going to understand what you're doing. And I'm like, well, then why am I here? You know what I mean? So that's another struggle, is that everything's become so simplistic and people are just happy with simplicity in every fucking outlet they get, that they're not, it's very hard to introduce them to different things. Like, I have this conversation with young DJs all the time. And I'm like, well, why can't you guys play this? And they're like, they don't want to hear it. I'm like, they don't want to hear it because you're not playing it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like, well, I don't want to be the only guy. Well, somebody has
Someone has to start.
You can either be the guy that takes the chance and gets booed and get the... I got booed and got fingers. That didn't sound good at all. I got the middle fingers pointed up at me.
Fuck you,
I wasn't bent over in front of it. But that's happened before when I played some stuff. You know what I mean? But end of the day, that's what a DJ is supposed to do at some point.
Dope.
Don't go out there and try to, force feed your whole set.
You're taking risks.
But you got to do something, or else, like my motto has always been, like, ever since I started, my 2 idols were Kid Capri and Jazzy Jeff for 2 totally different reasons.
Yep.
And I adapted things from both of them that I loved, and I always said, like, no matter what it is, if there's 5 people, 5,000, I have to make a difference. From the first song I put on, I have to make a difference. Like, I come on and I'm very aggressive when I play. And I don't even talk on the mic. but I'm just very aggressive, which was one of the traits I took from Capri.
Yeah.
Because he's an animal. Like, from the first song he plays, it doesn't matter who was on before you. And I've always believed in that, because, or else, like, what's the point? Like, now you see flyers, there's literally like 13, 14 DJs on it.
Yeah.
They'll play 15 minutes, and they all play the same thing.
And then they leave.
So the crowd leaves. They don't, and you could probably go to the crowd and be like, who played? And they'll be like, oh.
It's a commodity.
Whereas before, like, living in the 90s and stuff, it was DJ driven. Like, people followed the DJs.
Yeah.
Promoters didn't matter. Promoters didn't matter till the 2000s.
Wow.
There's probably going to be angry promoters now, but I don't care. I was there. You can't tell me different.
Yeah.
But anybody that lived through that, like, it was DJ driven. Like, people would leave their house and, where are you playing? And hundreds and, hundreds and hundreds go there. Whether it was myself or King Turbo or Dr. J, even back then, Baba Khan.
That's crazy.
There was only a few of us that were the pillars where people went, and we all had
You're the
different
go-tos,
crowds.
and that's because of the barriers to entry, and it's like,
Yeah,
those are the guys.
Like, Bubba had his market locked down. Jay had his market locked down. Turbo had theirs. I had mine.
had yours.
There were other people that were doing their thing, of course. But people followed us
The
like
top tier.
Like, we were artists. We are artists, but people followed us like every show was a concert. So you had to be at the top.
That's
you know what I
dope.
mean? So
Yeah.
there's so many things. I don't think people go through that anymore. Like, that whole process is different now. Like, people are coming into it knowing there's a supporting cast. No one's a star anymore. You know what I mean? Certain guys break out, of course. There's certain guys that break out. For the most part, the masses, they're just all in this mix, and it's all short-term goals, and it's all, everything's small and everything's short. And yeah,
Yeah, Tony said it's like the place to be. Yeah.
yeah,
not
now
even
it's
the DJ.
venue matters more than
The
DJs.
Damn, that's mad interesting.
Look how many times you'll see a flyer come up and it's the name of the night in the venue. There's no DJ listed.
It's just like, yeah.
It'll be like this bottle price and this bottle price and that. And that's cool. Hey, if you're happy, making your money and being that guy, you can live a great life doing that too. And I know guys that have done it their whole career, but it's not to say I didn't want it.
Yeah.
But I could never do that and be the person I wanted to be and be the DJ I wanted to be. So I had to make my own.
Yeah, and I have some thoughts on that in regards to like younger DJs and everything. I'm gonna be back in 5 minutes, and I wanna hear more about this specifically.
All right.
Yo,
Who's
AP.
next?
AP, let's go. You hear my comments about you being trash? You didn't hear it.
It was terrible.
Just watch it back.
It was brutal. But he did ask me the same question you asked me, so
Oh yeah.
I chose not to answer.
Okay.
I gave my heart to you, just so you know.
Yes. I'm the winner. I'm the winner. All right.
So don't ask me the same thing you just asked me.
Okay. I hope we don't, because actually what we do on the show is we don't know each other's questions. Oh damn. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna skip that bit then. So I want to talk this round about social media, something we already touched on, but I just kind of want to explore like a bit more in depth, like how it's affected your life in both a positive and a negative way. And I guess we'll start with positive and then move into the rest. So like how have you feel like in the past, like, well, ever since social media has blown up, like how has that affected your DJ career compared to back when there was no social media, like it was all in person?
Honestly, social media hasn't affected my DJ career positively. And that's probably my fault. Because I'm not super active on it and I'm not aggressive on it. And I don't rely on it. So I've never looked at it as that. It's, social media, honestly, for me is toilet watching. When I go to the washroom, that's what social media is to me. It's a read. You know what I mean? It's not a life for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely hasn't impacted me. I'm sure, like, whatever. I don't even know the followers I have. I think I have like 20-something thousand followers or whatever. But, I mean, I find it weird. I find Canadian DJs, even those that are well known, we just don't get it. We don't get the followers like anybody else does. It's super weird. Like I'll be surprised a lot of times, and I'll look at DJs just to see what they have, and I'm like, really? That's all? I don't really see any guys like except for the Grand Thefts and stuff, but those guys are monsters. But yeah, positively, I wouldn't say it has anything. Negatively, of course, there's eternal mind fucks going on in social media.
Yeah, and like you've been very open about your recent struggles with anxiety.
Yeah,
too,
and I
so
was gonna say, like,
yeah.
I think that to me, and that's recent. I think that's been a really positive thing for me, for a few factors. Just being that, it let me open up, and I've never been one to really hide stuff.
Right.
And I just felt it's something I had to do. I didn't do it for likes. I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I didn't do it for likes or shares or anything like that, or to get noticed or to get pity. You know, because what's that really going to do for me in the end? Like, oh, I feel sorry for you. But come do my party.
I guess it acted as like an outlet for yourself.
It did. It was just. I realized the position I'm in. I realized the platform I have, and I knew I wasn't alone, but I hadn't seen it out there for someone like me.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily that I'm the first. I'm going to be at the forefront. I wasn't even thinking when I did it, to be honest. If anybody read my first post, it was about like reliance on alcohol and struggling with anxiety and stuff, which I've literally been dealing with for like 20 plus years. It's just I've always found my crutch, which was my alcohol.
Right.
And again, not an alcoholic. I only drank when I had to work.
When you DJ'd, yeah.
Never outside of work. But yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I was literally on a plane coming home from Montreal, and it was like 6:30 in the morning, 7, and I was still drunk. And I had just, come from a party with a small room, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm struggling so hard to please so little people with something I could do with my eyes closed.
Right.
And it's taking me over, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was sitting there, and I just started typing as I was waiting for the plane to leave, and I just hit send as the plane was leaving, and I turned off my phone.
Yeah.
And then I got back, and it was like endless messages and emails and everything, and everybody's like, "You okay?" And I was like, I actually kind of almost forgot what I did.
Yeah. And it's also like a lot to just take it and
of course it's like total opposite of what it should be. But again, it just made me see. And then again, when I did it again, I was just like, it's incredible to see, not only the love and support, because I've kind of felt that along the years through other things that I've done. Like people will just come up randomly and give me compliments, and that's amazing to me. But just to see, the various levels of people that are struggling and so much worse than I am.
Right.
And, thanking me for opening the door for them, and thanking me for putting it out there for people, and other DJs. So many DJs reached out to me and are dealing with it and still dealing with it. And we're, again, I don't think it's right to say they're afraid to say anything. They just didn't know what to do.
How to go about it.
You know what I mean?
It's,
I'm very outspoken. I've always have been, not without purpose. You know what I mean? Not just to be that guy.
Yeah.
But I just didn't feel like, and once I put it out there, it's not that I had to follow up, but I wanted to follow up with it.
Yeah.
Because it's important to me. And it's something that's getting worse for me. So it's something that I have to address internally. But for me to do that, I have to put it out externally.
Put it out there. And it's also
because I want to be held accountable, and I want people to know that I am taking my steps to get better.
Yeah.
And it's led me into this whole other path. And I've been introduced to so many people now, and it's my struggle. It's so many other people's struggle, but I also feel like it really gave me a new purpose. It gave me a new lane. Now, like my goal, my next goal, which will be happening in the next couple of months, I'm going to do an awareness event. Bringing in doctors and different specialists and all kinds of. All different fields from meditation to all these things.
Dope.
Stuff I haven't tried yet.
But it's like such an important conversation to be
had.
had.
And I'm going to just put it out there, and I'm going to address it to people like, come on out. You're not alone. And I'm going to get a room, put all these professionals in there. I'm going to speak. There's a couple of big DJs that I know are going to come out, and we're just going to just get it out there. Whatever it does, who knows what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 people, maybe 500. I don't know.
But yeah, it's like,
but I just feel and I've had so many people. Yeah, sorry, I've had so many people tell me that what you're doing is helping so many others. You don't even know it, and I didn't know it. And the way I look at it, even if it is helping 5 people, for me, I'm happy with that. If it made 5 people look at oh my God, look what Scratch posted, and everybody's always like, oh, I had no clue. You learn how to cover up. It's like anything.
Yeah,
you learn how to deal with it. But now it's just gotten to some points where I'm losing the struggle. And, I've cut off the alcohol totally since December. So it's like, I'm really losing the struggle. I'm basically starting from scratch, as funny as that seems, 30 years later. and I'm literally starting from scratch.
Yeah.
I'm retraining myself to be able to do what I've been doing naturally for 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
So it's crazy, and there's so many, like, ever since I acknowledged it, it's just, the tree grew, and there's so many more branches out there, and now it's like, when I talked about pulling from social, I had to pull away from social media to focus
Super
better.
important, yeah.
Like, I have to learn to focus, and the social media just drains my focus.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, it just like it pulls you in so many directions and makes you feel so many things you shouldn't be feeling and all that stuff, and it's just not healthy. It's really not healthy, and I have to just lean on things that are healthy for me, physically and mentally.
Mentally, yeah.
And I just have to refine my love for the music and let that guide me. It's been struggle. I haven't been myself at all. You know, when I'm performing, I just haven't been myself. And I'm actually like, I don't look forward to gigs now because I know how I'm going to be when I get there, which is terrible and it sucks.
Right.
It's just a fight I have to fight.
It's
No
also
one else can help me with it.
Just acknowledging that is like always the first step, right?
Yeah, I'm only one session into my therapy, so it's not like I don't have the help yet to understand.
Right.
But like the therapist told me, the best thing is that what it is, where it's coming from. I'm aware of it.
That's
I
like
I can put it into a box now. Now I just have to figure out what's in that box.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tough, but it's like I said, it's opened up this whole new light for me, and I'm so glad it did. And if I'm helping anybody, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing more with it because I just think it's a massive, massive problem.
For sure.
And I mean, we see celebs and stuff dropping like flies, and killing themselves, and these kids, and you know what I mean. And that's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever I can do, I really want to get this into school systems and so forth. But firstly, I want to deal with, my peers and guys that have been doing it and girls that have been doing this for so long in our industry.
Yeah.
And always just sat on their hands, and we all did the same thing. You know what I mean? And it's scary, and it's a monster. You know what I mean? Who would have thought?
For sure.
I thought I had it all under control. I'd been doing it for 30 years. I'm like, I'm good. And now I'm 46, and I'm struggling like a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Yeah. I'm just hoping. It just will. Doors will just eventually keep opening, and more lanes will be created, and so forth, and we can figure something out.
Yeah, I think it's awesome what you're doing. Just raising awareness and just being open about it is like super important, just for the community in general,
and for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm aiming for early March, mid-March right now.
Yes, please let us know. Yeah, we definitely want to come up to that. Yeah. All right. We got to switch up. But
Let's do it.
That was a dope conversation.
Tag, you're it. Yeah. It's dope. I know what that button was.
Dope. All right. I'm gonna switch things up because I had a question for you, but I heard through my headphones that you talked about having a small circle. So you and AP might have already talked about the question I was gonna ask you. So
if you might have phrased it differently, it's up to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to ask you something else, just that I'm really interested in actually. Danny's like, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm going to go off script here. This is the first time on the Keralanka Show.
He's going rogue, folks.
We're going rogue. All right, cool. Well, hopefully AP doesn't have a question like this, but I want to dig into the concept of success, especially as it relates to being in a creative field, and especially for kids of today that are constantly comparing themselves to others' progress and everything. Do you separate your happiness from your drive? And what I mean by that is, like, you're a DJ, right? That's what you do, and, like, you're always going to constantly sort of strive to sort of hit that next level, whether it's like improving your craft or playing a different venue, whatever it is. But then your happiness, do you treat that separately, or is it tied to what you do? And let me know if I can elaborate at all.
You can elaborate. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So for me personally, coming from my perspective, I've realized that as an artist, and I think AP's had the same realization, is that we're constantly chasing these highs and the next like goal. And like we've always perceived that as like, especially if you're like an entrepreneurial person, you're always like, yo, hustle harder, like keep doing this, like not like, yo, you can play this venue, then you can play this venue, then you can go from 10,000 fans to 20,000 to 30, whatever it is, right? And that's dope because you're constantly hitting new milestones. But I sometimes think like I never want to be a different person when I hit that 5th milestone than I am right now. So something I've personally thought about is if I'm not happy right now, I'm not going to be happy when I get there. and that's not gonna make me happier. It's my drive because it feeds me purpose. It gives me something to sort of look forward to in the morning. But if I'm not happy with like family, friends, and like the ecosystem around me, like I don't know how I'm gonna be happy when I sell out a venue. You know what I mean? Because I'm still gonna be broken inside. So just curious as to if you've ever thought about it that way in regards to, you know, you as a DJ and your legacy, but then you as just, you know, as a human, like your happiness.
Yeah, I think I am happy because, yeah, like you, I mean, when I started, I never thought I'd be doing this 30 years later. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. So I never had that goal. I never had that thing. I never set out to be, you know, I want to be this guy and I want to do this and I want to do that. All I always said to myself is no matter what I do, like, I want to put out the best product. Right? So I know it sounds cliche and whatever, but
yeah, it's true.
It's just all the ways I dealt with it. I'm like, I'm not going to go out and practice mixing in front of people.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to go out and learn new things in front of people. I'm going to learn it and then bring it out to the public.
Okay.
I was literally practicing in my room like 6 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like, I just knew if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, not setting the goals and all that. Again, there's good to it and bad to it. So everything I've done along my career, I've always been happy because I've been able to do it my way. You know what I mean? So I've been able to, when I worked for others, I was happy because I got to do things my way. I always got to play my music my way. Even now being on Virgin, yes, I have a different catalog to choose from, but I get to play the songs my way. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think the happiness would fade when you're not being authentic to yourself, like you said. But I think a lot of people don't care. A lot of people just want that end game. So a lot of people, like, I've never wanted to, like I said, I forget which one of you said it too, but I never wanted to be traveling 300 days a year. And it was never of interest to me because I like being home. I've built so much here and I've done so much here. I'm happy here. Like, I love.
That's dope.
It was the hardest for me to make it in Toronto because it was the toughest city to make it in. So the fact that I made it here and lasted for so long, I've been here for so long, I'm so happy and I am successful. Man. And so many opportunities have come out of it. I could have done so much more, but I just never wanted to.
Good, yeah.
I didn't because I just had such a foundation here. I mean, you know, they always say like complacency is not a good thing, but it's not that I'm complacent. I still doing new things here, and I still do new things abroad. But it's just not for me. Like, I love being home, and I love being with my kids and my wife and kids at home. Like, I love that being able to do both. You know what I mean? Like, I never understand, you know, like the Jazzy Jeffs and all these guys who
shout out to Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to you,
amazing person. Yeah, but I just can't get it. Like, for me, it's not for. I can't do that.
It's not you.
Go away. Like, that's why I wasn't on the Russell tours for a while because I can't go away for months at a time.
Yeah.
Because I did it when my daughter was born. She's 5 now, and she was probably like 6-7 months, and we were really close. And then I brought her. I went away for like almost 3 months with Russell, and I came back and I went to pick her up at daycare to surprise her. So she's like almost 1 now. And she just lost it. She started screaming and crying, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. I said, I'm not doing this again. It had never been for me. You know what I mean? And it had never, the traveling and all that was never really my thing. But seeing that and seeing the effect it had on me being older and more in control of my career now, I said, I'm not doing that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to do that for me. I can make my money here. I can do that. I'm not interested in being a superstar. I don't need $10 million. You know what I mean? I have my $1 million home. I have my $1 million family. I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think they went hand in hand for me. My happiness was my drive. My drive was my happiness, really.
Interesting.
Truly.
And that's dope to hear because it's very separate from what I just said. But at the end of the day, we all have our own different perspectives.
I think they both went hand in hand because I have been able to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And knowing, knowing it's still out there, I know there's still stuff I can do.
Yeah.
And I can get it if I want to, but I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be playing in arenas for 5,000 to 10,000 people. I'm happy doing 500, 600, 700, 800 people
Yeah.
and playing my shit and seeing them
And
go off to my shit.
When you tell me that, I'm like, holy shit, 500 people, 600 people. So it's just levels, right? It's
levels.
relativity.
Success.
Ego too, right?
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's not just
saying
hip hop.
ego.
That's everything. But I mean, hey, more power to stadium DJs and more power to. It takes a lot of balls to do
It's
that
them.
stuff too.
It's them. Like if that's their happiness and
You
what
want to
drives
jump
them.
off stages and do all that? Hey, go for it. You know what I mean? Like they've earned their spot.
Yeah.
Like it's very rare you'll see people get up to that kind of a level not deserving. Like they've put in their dues. Like, you know, call it what it is. It may not be for everybody. You know what I mean?
Shouldn't be.
They earned their spot. They created a whole friggin' genre out of it and made a worldwide phenomenon out of that whole thing. And more power to them. It's not for me.
Dope.
You know what I mean?
Very self-aware.
Jazzy Jeff is one of the most amazing people in the world. And, you know, he taught me a lot along the years of he's exactly the same thing. Like he knows where he knows where his success came from. You know, the albums and the TV show did wonders for him, and he's still able to tour to his day off of that. But he himself told me, I asked him last time we were together, I was like, how do you do this? Like, after all this time, how do you still do this? Like, how are you still able to go out and just perform all the time? And he's like, listen, honestly, 20% of the music I play is for them, 80% is for me.
Dope.
So he's still happy doing what he does. He's still, he's still Jazzy Jeff. You know what I mean? He's never going to change. He's still, I mean, look what he's doing for the DJ culture with his retreats and so forth.
Hell
and
yeah.
His personality has never changed. I didn't know him back when in the 80s and so forth. I knew him from the 90s, but as a person. But, I mean, he's always been like my prime example of like, you can do what you want to do and still be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's happy. Otherwise, he doesn't need the money. He's got lots of money. So he doesn't have to go out X amount of times a year, but
that's it.
he just loves doing it. Like he loves going out to different parts of the world playing music, and he plays what he loves, and they accept it because it's him. I'm fortunate where I can do that here.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like for me to go out to the States and go out to international where they don't know me like that, and to be literal starting from scratch again, it's a lot of work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I don't think it's worth it. I don't think,
The
not to
mind
say it's not
space.
worth it. I'll still do it, but I'm not into it to try and do it to become something bigger than I am.
that, yeah.
Knowing that I can do what I do here, I'm good for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I can still do, you know, I can keep up with the youngins if I want to
Yeah.
easily. And I know that, and physically I can, and mentally by far I can, and musically without a doubt I can.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've just found new ways to reinvent myself, and along the ways that the drive is always there.
Yeah.
But it's just a different drive. Like my drive
sure.
is just keep doing what you're doing and
No.
keep, you know, making more lanes for yourself. That's the most important thing to me.
And
So-
I think thank you for sharing that, because it's very, before I hop over, like I just want to say, like, it's very important, especially I think for people tuning into this show, because there's a hustle harder culture going on right now, which is dope, which is fun. But
that
like,
stupid saying of, you know, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I can't stand when people say that, because look at Kate Spade and look at all these people. Like, these are young people, man. These are like my age. You know what I mean? And they're killing themselves and
Rest
they're
in
not
peace.
happy. And I've been in the scene. I've been backstage with the biggest artists you can think of and the biggest comedians you can think of. And it is not what you guys think it is. And I'll tell you that straight. And I've been there.
and I appreciate you saying that, coming at it from the perspective of being
It's
in
not,
the
man.
world.
People are. It's
dope.
a very dark
Yeah.
world. Like, people don't understand that. Like, people think it's all what you see, and it's not. It's everything you don't see that is the problem. Like,
Yeah.
how can people that are multimillionaires and bust their ass to get where they are and just suddenly be like, I don't want this anymore,
Facts.
and
yeah.
gone?
And-
That makes no sense to me.
So yeah.
So why build your life up to be all this stuff and exactly what you said, not be happy? And the end game is what? You're going to look around, you're going to have a shitload of money on the floor, and there's going to be nobody with you.
So what?
And then you're like, what do I do now?
Damn.
You know what I mean? Because your mentality going into it was all wrong. Like, if your mentality going into it is this, you know, material, and I want this, and that shit will run out.
Facts.
There's always going to be somebody with more than you. Always.
Facts.
There's people with more money than Diddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And-
for real,
There's people with more money than Diddy.
Just when you think the upper ceiling's reached, no, there's always more.
There's
It's
these
like-
little 18, 17-year-old kids building computer programs
Yeah.
that have way more money than these guys do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we don't even
Yeah.
know who they are.
That's crazy. No, facts. Thank you for sharing that. And for all you young creatives out there and just, young entrepreneurs and everything, that's something important to note, like don't don't just sacrifice your mindfulness and sleep and happiness.
Money is not worth it.
It's not. It's just like keep your drive, but do it to the extent that it makes you happy. Thank you for sharing, man.
Speaking of young creatives, though, we gotta shout out Shamar Williams, DJ starting from scratch, is the best DJ in the world.
Hey.
Also my inspiration as a DJ.
Shout out to Shamar Williams.
I got a
just
PayPal
said
Shamar
DJ
Williams some money,
starting
apparently.
from scratch is the best DJ in the world. Shout out to you. A lot of people are showing love right now, so appreciate you. I'll see you in 5.
All right.
Yeah, try to top that, AP.
Yeah, top that.
I'm pumping this beat, though.
I'm pretty pumped for this beat too, actually. But I can't ruin the surprise, so I can't really say too much. But we'll see where it goes. So at the beginning of the interview, you shouted out a few of the people that were there, like when you started, like from the beginning, and I just kind of wanted to dive into like the things you find that tie those people together in terms of like the things that you value and really vibe with in other creatives and DJs and just the people who are there for you.
Yeah, I think my world is kind of split in a few different ways. I mean, I have my friends, quote unquote friends, who I know are my friends. That's the supremely small circle. I always, along the ways, you always have your people. Make sure you know who your friends are, and you hear the stories all the time. And I've always known that. You know what I mean? Like, I know the difference between colleague and friend. I know the difference between leech and friend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
a really
I've never
important
got
distinction to make.
I've never gotten caught up in that world. I mean, listen, when we were carrying, 15 or 10 crates into the club, I know they weren't my friends. They just wanted to get in. That's cool. I
Right.
get it. But I needed the help.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah.
So it's like
it's
I
like
get
it's
it.
like a win-win in that kind of
until the end of the
situation.
night when they're all gone. But
Yeah.
then I see who my real friends are.
Yeah.
But it's really been small. Always has been small. And as a person, same with DJs. Like there's a ton of DJs I talk to daily. We have our DJ groups and so forth. And it's just all like-minded guys. Like we're all in it for the same reason. We all been doing it for a while. No one's trying to be this guy, and no one's trying to knock down this guy's project. And we see enough of that out there. You know what I mean? Like, why surround yourself on your personal time with that garbage?
Yeah, it's like why surround yourself with that
such
ego?
a negative.
Right?
It's such a negative, dirty thing. So, yeah, it's just I keep it small, and I know my pockets of people that I can rely on. I mean, there's people that aren't my friends that I talk to on a regular. That being said, even my small circle of friends, we don't talk on the regular.
Right. Yeah.
And now my small circle of friends has become, we're family friends. So it's like we do family days every weekend. And, and that's what it's become now. So it's like, but it's the same people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just now everybody has their families, so we do that. And I've always, even people I work with now, when I do my own events, it's the same people. You know what I mean? Until they'll cross me or rip me off or do something foul to me. If you're loyal, I'm one of the most loyal people that you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? I still go into cities in different countries and so forth, and I'll only work for the same people, even though there's bigger opportunities. Yeah, I'll work for the same people that took belief in me in the first place.
Because you know them
it's
on
just
that
not worth it
personal
to
level,
me.
right?
It's not worth it. What do you like? It's just, are you really going to sacrifice these things just to make more money? When in the end game, is it really like, a couple thousand? Is that really worth things to you? To a lot of people, yeah, it is. Yeah, cool. Like, to each their own. To me, it never has been. Like, I'm happy, I'm happy driving a 10-year-old car, or I'm happy, wearing the same T-shirt I had from time. Like, I don't need to be wearing something new every time I go out.
Exactly.
Or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that stuff's really never mattered to me. So, again, everything around me, as you could probably tell by the way it is kind of simple. Very simple. Yeah. Keep it plain, keep it simple.
Yeah, humble and simple, right?
Don't fall. I mean, humble is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's people's perception or whatever. That's cool.
Yeah. That's true.
Again, it's not a show. I'm not doing it to make people think I'm humble. It's just anybody that's known me knows. Yeah, what I was going to say is, like, I know, people that may not be my quote unquote friends, like close, but I know there's people out there that I can call on a whim and be like, I need this done. Can you do it for me? And they'll be like, yeah. Yeah. And people know that I'm the same way with them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to see, especially in my field, that, a lot of the guys that we started out with are all successful.
Yeah.
in their own rights and rising.
Yeah,
You know, like we were
yeah,
talking
that's-
about
that's
before,
super dope.
Specs and guys, like we all started out together. Dr.
Yeah.
J, Specs, you know what I mean? So we were all the guys in the 90s, and now it's, 2019,
And you guys are
we're
still
all
here.
still doing great
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? And
That's dope.
and I think it's amazing, and I'm happy to see that because we all put a lot of fucking hard work into this. Like, we put a lot of hard work into this.
Yeah.
Like, nothing has come easy to any one of us that I mentioned, and there's a lot of other guys that have done it, like, that have been doing this for a long time. And it's not to say that anybody's reached, mega international success, because they haven't.
But everyone's
But
reached their own personal level.
internationally known, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We all are. And it's not, none of us are Khaleds, and I don't think any one of us care. We're all successful, and we're all still doing what we love to do, and we're all still, breaking boundaries. I mean, just think about any business you're in. 30 years of doing something
That's
at a high level, not just
not just like at,
breaking
at,
into
at
the
the
scene
middle
and
level,
taking your
yeah.
time. Like, from the time we came in, we were at high levels. Like, we had to. There was no like messing around. You went for the top dogs. Like, when I came in, they pitted me against the top dogs right off the bat, and I was taking jobs. You know what I mean? Like, they put me
You
up
just
on a
gotta do what
Saturday
you
night.
got, yeah.
The owner came. I like you better. Gone. Next guy's gone. Like, and they've been doing it for years. Like, it
And
was.
then you
That's
gotta
just the
hold
way
that
the
spot
business
over
is.
there, yeah.
If you don't hold that, you're gone.
Yeah.
So to hold that in
For
the 90s
just-
alone,
yeah.
in the toughest era of them all, in my opinion, I wasn't in the 80s, so the 90s for me is the toughest.
Right, yeah. That makes sense.
To still carry that over and all that is due to starting when I did. You know what I mean? Starting when we all did. That mentality of just put out the best. It's not be the best. Do the best.
Put
you know
out
what
your-
I mean? It's a
your
different
best.
mentality.
Yeah.
Be the best makes you do different things. If I tell you need to be the best,
Right,
you're going to think,
then-
now what else can I do to be the best?
Right.
Whereas
It's-
if it's,
it's
do the
driven by a
best,
different motive.
there's nothing else you can do except do it.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, mix these two records, but do it the best.
Do it the best.
You're going to
Okay.
do it the best. If I
Right.
say just make it sound the best, you
Yeah.
can figure out, go on your computer and figure out different ways. That's not you doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just two different mentalities. And I think us growing up when we did, do the best was you had to. Or else
I like that.
you're getting shit thrown at you, you get booed, you won't get hired again. So it's like having that mentality of just do the best, and those three words have stuck with me forever. So it's like,
I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
For future, not even
but
for the
I think
beat.
it's important too. Is like, I think people, mix those up all the time. It's like, be the best is one thing. We're always told, like Nike and all those things. It's like,
Yeah.
just be your best and
Just do it, yeah.
do your best is a totally different thing than be your best. In my opinion, you know what I mean. Especially in a profession where it's strictly show and prove.
Right.
You know what I mean. If a DJ sucks,
They
who
suck
else are you gonna
straight up,
blame?
like, yeah.
You could stare at your equipment and your headphones and your records all you want.
But we all know why.
You picked that song, you mixed it that
Yeah.
way for a purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, barring obviously circumstances, technical glitches or whatever, but in the general, you're held accountable for everything you do.
Right.
If you grab a live microphone, you can't sing, that's your ass. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody else to blame but you.
Yeah.
So being in that profession and you have no choice, you have to be the best. So it's like, that is the ultimate way of just surviving this long. There's no real other way to say it. I mean, every gig I go into, I don't go into it saying, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't take those gigs.
Right. You just
I turn
just
down gigs all
from
the
the
time.
get-go, you're like, no,
Yeah.
like it's not me.
And I just chose, I said, I have more fun doing my own events, and in the end of the day, make more money. So I'll just do my own events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything I've been able to do, the Usher and the Russell and all these other stuff and things I've had, I've always been able to do it on my own terms, both on a business level and on a creative level. So, after 30 years of still doing it and all that is crazy. And just think of another job you can do that you can't. It's very hard. Like, athletes don't last 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's very true, yeah. It's a very short time span.
Athletes don't. Like, it's very, how many, besides a Jay-Z or something, think of a rapper that's been able to still be relevant in your ears after all this time. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard,
So-
especially now. There's like so much going on. So before, when I was talking about like stock going down, it affects everybody. Of course it does. Like it's hard. Like it's being in such a an aggressive mind state for all these years. It's like a pit bull, training all these years, and then you stick the pit bull in the in the pen, and now there's like 30 more pit bulls, and they're younger, and he's like, oh fuck, I can't go, I can't. How am I going to do that? So instead of getting in that fight, I have to sit back and figure out how can I be a 46-year-old pit bull and just still fight the fight, but pick my fight a little better. Fights. I'm not going to fight the 20-year-old pit bull anymore. I don't need to. I was a 20-year-old pit bull. Yeah. I was there. I did it. I beat everybody back then. I don't need to do that. I have nothing to prove. Yeah. Except to myself. So I do my stuff, and I'm just so happy in the position I'm in. I mean, yes, I get mad at myself because of things I should be doing. But again, there's still a lot of juice in the tank. I got a long ways to go. And I'm just gonna, get those. I'm gonna more production stuff that I always held back on because of who I was, and I was always like, who I was doesn't match the music I'm making. So either we're gonna stand the music I'm making, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like at this point,
just do it for you.
That's pretty much it. So it's like I put out that first one, and I was like, I had to just lean back and be like, it doesn't really matter at this point anymore. And I have so much music that I've done, and I'm going to do it. And like I say, the anxiety stuff, and that's another thing I'm going to do. And I'm just doing stuff that I know at the end of the day, when I'm gone, I'll be happy, and I'm be like, you know what I mean? Whatever they can say about me will be a positive thing. I don't rip people off. I'm not in that super competitive field where I have to do, shady things to reach the top or do things to sacrifice myself or people I respect to get to a certain level. I don't need to do that. I never have. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't do 4 gigs in one night to try and make 4 times the money. I'm happy. Just give me one and give me my money. I'll charge more, but give me my money. Right. So it's like, it's things I adopted a long time ago in my own, head. And I've kind of always stuck with it, and it's always worked. And it's not being complacent. It's a formula that's worked for me, and it still allows me to do more things.
Right. Yeah. And like, that's super dope. And we're going to end the round on that. Do your best. That's the quotable for this episode.
We're changing this podcast to called Do Your Best.
Do your best. All right. Rohan, saw you.
I think I got like 10 minutes left.
For the bonus round.
That's awesome. Is that the right time on the stove?
No, that's not that. That's not the right time. Don't worry. It's actually it's 2:50. It's 2:50 p.m. It's not.
Okay, we're good.
You were stressing, huh? You're like, you got to pick the kids up.
All I kept looking at is like, my wife's gonna kick my ass.
No, we good. Don't worry. My wife's gonna kick. Shannon's gonna kill me. Yeah.
I looked at that. I was like, oh, my wife's gonna kill me.
Crazy.
Oh, we're good.
Cool. So diving into this is my final question. You're good. Don't worry. Relax. But
now I can. I was trying to get his attention. I was trying like.
Is that the real? What's up, Danny? Damn, are we so rave?
Apparently we're in the dance party mode.
Hey AP. Okay, we're back. Never mind. We needed your technical support, but we're good now.
You got another one. He's an AV nerd over there.
Oh, there we go. So it's Long McQuaid. Shout out to Long McQuaid. But I want to continue on what we were just talking about around like happiness for drive and whatnot, and I've heard it from your perspective. Now I want to hear a bit more around. This is off script again, Danny. It's not a question I put down, but it's. I'm really curious. Like, have you ever? And we don't have to name names or nothing like that. But have you ever seen friends sort of go down that dark path of like chasing a certain dream or goal or aspiration or whatever? But
absolutely, I see it every day.
And how do you? Yeah, I assume so. And how do you? What sort of role do you play when you see that happen? And I don't even mean just now, but even like in the 90s and like, when you were first coming up, when you were all sort of on the come up together and you were deciding your own path, like how do you sort of treat your relationship with that person after, and what part do you play in regards to their own growth and how your relationship dynamics work?
I mean, I've told friends up to recently, like, what are you doing? Like,
right.
I know it is not you, but end of the day, it's to each their own. Obviously, I can't. I mean, I'm a grown man. Yeah. They're grown people. They can do what they want.
Right.
Again, it's a lot of it is desperation. A lot of it is it's just different. Like now, obviously, as funny as the Bow Wow challenge was, it exposed the reality of social media, really and truly. Like, as funny as it was, and I'm, you know, it took a celebrity to get caught doing it.
Crazy. Yeah.
But that's probably 1 out of every 3 pictures you see on Instagram.
What was the Bow Wow show?
When he faked having the plane or whatever, faked the house that was his or it wasn't his.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So Bow Wow faked like a plane / house, was it?
Or his house plane or whatever it was, and it was not to be his or whatever.
Social
But
media
people do that all the time. You'll see people cracking on it all the time. But as funny as that is, that's real life to a lot of people. Like, it's real life to make your party seem like...
Bigger
you'll see a
than
ton of DJs do this where it's like they'll film themselves playing at a party and never the crowd. They'll film themselves like they're killing it. And then you talk to people next day and they're like, yeah, there was like 20 people there. But to social media, there was like 5,000 people there.
Right.
So again, why do people do that? Who knows? You know, you want to make yourself look like a star. That's cool. I have nothing against you. Do what you want. I don't. You know what I mean? I struggled with for a while. I've had to purposely change mind states for myself. Thankfully, I never really fell victim to it because those things really never mattered to me. You know, material things were never a be all and end all to me, so it didn't matter to me. I'll take a picture in front of my Honda Odyssey. I don't have one now, but I mean, I had no problem with it back in the day. I wasn't ashamed to drive up. Dope. You know what I mean? Anything like so. I just think it's a different mentality. Like growing up in the '90s and growing up as a DJ in the '90s, I should say, we didn't have those things to worry about. So the only things we had to worry about was it was all a literal show and prove. So it was like literally what you see in front of your face.
You can't fake it.
Exactly.
It's impossible to.
Exactly, right? So it's like I don't even know how to explain it properly. But it's just different mindsets again. It's like, how do I mean, I've told in the 90s when I would tell people, it's like, you know, I would see people trying to play music that I knew wasn't in them. You know what I mean? Like they're either playing it because maybe I played it and they're playing it at a different party and it wasn't working at that party. You know what I mean? So it's like different things in the 90s. In the 90s, it was more like trying to be, hey, I'm me, but you're taking shit from other people and you're not using it properly. You know what I mean? So it's like you'd have to go up to people and back then, you know, DJs would check people all the time on that shit. You know, there were fights all the time. Yeah. DJs would be like, yo, that's my shit, and you take my shit and my mix and da-da-da. This is me. And it got real back then. So it's like, back then it was, you know, you would get checked by not only me, but you get checked by kind of everybody back then. Whereas now, you can also get away with murder now. You can, I don't know how many people are watching right now, and if I wasn't paying attention, you could easily tell me there's 1 million people. I wouldn't know the difference.
There are, yeah. Not at all. I wish.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I don't care if there's 12 people watching. I don't care if there's 5,000 or 1 million. It doesn't matter. My answers would be the same. But other people would probably sit here and you'd be like, there's 1 million people, and they'll be like, oh, hold on a second. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I gotta adjust my Gucci suit, and you know what I mean.
They
Like
change who they are
because absolutely.
And you've seen friends do that.
Yeah, and I've seen
that's crazy.
It happens all the time. You know what I mean? And it's like, again, I'm just a different person. You know what I mean? I'm different than you. We're all different. All of us in this room are different, and it's to each their own. Like, who am I to tell you not to do that?
For sure.
If that's what you really want. If at the end of the day you're happy, cool. All I could hope is that you're not just chasing this, dream to get to where someone else is now, and then you get there, and just like you talked about before, you're like, well, what the fuck?
What do I have now?
Yeah, what do I have now? Cool, I'm here now, and okay, now what's next? That never ends. That
especially when kids are 17 doing that now.
And that mentality won't stop because you'll get there and realize there's people with more shit. Now I want this car, and now I want this, and now I want that, and like that shit's it's super comical to me because I'm different. You know what I mean? So when I see people, with rented cars, I mean that's been going on for years. When Caravana on Friday nights used to be like Young Street was the shit. So Young Street would basically shut down from like front all the way up until Wellington, or not Wellington, College. It would shut down, and it was just cars, all these fancy cars and girls and guys, and we'd see our friends talking with like American accents and in these cars that we know they don't have.
It's like, hold, that's not you.
Yeah, and we know that, and we will say something. We're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Talking to you, yeah.
Yeah, but they're just trying to, chop the American girls and impress the people that don't know them.
Yeah.
And then end of the weekend comes,
They
you got to
probably
pay all
didn't
that
even
money,
say chop,
return the
they-
car, come back to our club, ask us for guest list next
Yeah.
week. So that's been going on forever, before social
Fake
media.
shit. Fake shit.
But again, it's comical to us because we know the difference, and it's not our thing.
Yeah.
You could look at pictures from me from Caravana 20 years ago and
Yeah.
probably see me dressed exactly like this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Nothing's changed with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a different mentality of people, and that's always going to be out there. It's just I won't always tell people, but if I know them close enough, I'll tell them, or at least ask them like, what's the end game? Like, what are you trying
What's
to
happening?
do?
Yeah, it's like this is strategic.
And in some cases, it may be a point where I just don't understand it.
Sure.
Maybe it is in their heart, to try and be, an older guy living a young guy life, and maybe they can pull it off. But I don't get it because it's not me. So there's also a combination of that. You know what I mean? Maybe, hey, maybe I should be doing something different that I don't know about.
Nah, but you know yourself, so fuck it.
Yeah. I mean,
That's all
who
it is.
knows? The world,
Yeah.
I mean, everything's changed.
Yeah.
Every probably 2-3 years, everything changes drastically, I find, every ways.
Yeah.
So from things people say, like all that stuff, like I don't use lingo people use because it's, from Vex to whatever along the ways it's gone to now this Toronto talk and stuff
I'm
like
cheese, B.
yeah, you'll never ever hear me say B or guy or
Bullshit.
bro or any
Sure,
like
yeah.
it's never
It's not you.
that stuff's always been funny to me because I'm like I've never I won't wear something because somebody else is wearing it, or I won't say something because or a song comes out and everything changes because a song comes out. It's never been for me, so I've always been different with that
I
stuff.
respect that.
Yeah,
No, that's
I
dope,
mean,
man.
I'm not. If you do, that's great.
You're not knocking anyone. It's just you
Yeah,
know yourself.
it's
and
just
then
I've
that's
never
it, yeah.
fell victim to those things. And I
Yeah.
find
That's so interesting.
to me that's just falling victim because it's comical to me to see everybody shift everything in their life in a different direction because that's the cool thing to do, or that's what somebody's saying now, or that's what what I mean. It's just to me it's comical.
Yeah, in our generation we call it clout chasing.
See, I never even heard that.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, cool. Yo, AP. Cool. I'm gonna go finish the beat actually, and then I'll
All right.
see you at the end when we present the beat to the audience. So stick around for the end.
Please.
Please do. All right. Well,
So this is the last round.
It's just like principal, vice principal, guidance counselor. When you're sitting in the principal's office just waiting, one comes in after the other.
It's like, all right, what seems to be the problem?
Been there. Yeah. Yeah.
So for this round, what we do is we're going to play a snippet of one of our songs for you, and then I'm going to give you a bit of context behind it, and we'll just have a conversation around what we... I don't want to ruin it, so I'll save the context for later. But this is a snippet of our song, Self
Note to
Monopoly.
self, beanbag chairs with a guy with no ass. Not a good combination.
We'll remember that next
I
time.
think I've dented this beyond belief.
It's okay, this one's even worse. So this is a clip of our song Self Monopoly, our latest single.
Self Monopoly?
Yeah.
So first thing I'll ask is, like, from the game or?
Well, so Rohan's the one who came up with the name, and he's a lyricist, so he can probably explain that better after the show.
Fair enough.
But I can explain the production, which is not what I'm going to do. Yeah, ready. So, it's always like the
Let's
transition.
pause while he pats himself on the back.
No, so okay, so that's our single Self Monopoly. You can check it out on Spotify. Title
Self Monopoly or
yeah.
South Monopoly?
Self SELF Monopoly. Monopoly spelled Monopoly. I'm not gonna explain
That's dope.
that.
I like the feel of it too because it's got like a DJ Premier-ish, like 90s boom bap-ish
Okay,
feel with a.
I'm so
well,
happy
even
you
the
said
scratching
that.
and stuff is very rhythmic and melodic. It's not just a bunch of noise. So
Yeah,
it's dope. I like
awesome.
that
Thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you. That's dope. Yeah, no, man. Now I'm just gassed. No, but so I love that you said that because actually, so Rohan produced most of that beat, the earlier portion of the beat, and then I kind of came in and I just redid the outro. So what you heard was the outro. I just kind of like took the elements he added from earlier on in the song, and I just like, what I wanted to do in this outro was I wanted to pay homage to older hip hop sounds, but while mixing in like a newer influence, like with those like trap, there's like a trap snare and like the kicks and whatever. So like I wanted to pay homage to like that DJ Premier kind of sound, and also Timbo Pharrell, like that's like some of my biggest influences, and then also just the scratching I added on top, just because like I feel like there's not enough turntablism and DJ representation in today's music.
Nah, it's pretty much non-existent nowadays.
Exactly, but like that's what it was built on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
And so the question I want to ask you regarding this whole topic is like, what older sounds do you want to see come back in today's music? So like with a modern twist on it, or
I think that's tough to say, because I mean, I don't even know if I necessarily would want that. I would like to see what comes up next, because those sounds are already there. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff you'll listen to from 20 years ago that sounds like it was made today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True,
so it's like, I don't necessarily know that there's a sound I would want to come back, because I think it is out there still. There's like guys making 90s boom bap hip hop now.
For sure, yeah.
And there's guys making, 80s synthy type music. I think it just reinvents itself and it comes in different forms, kind of packages. Yeah, I think it's always there.
Yeah,
I think it's always been like that. I think music. I think the genre that probably suffers the most is probably like live rock band, that kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because that's not really existent that much anymore, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that. I mean, all the big tours you see is more of the older guys coming back to do those tours and stuff, right? And there's no real room for them on radio and stuff like that anymore. I mean, even country's gone very digital nowadays,
the
right?
So it's and like, everything,
I think it's all there. I think one guy will come out and do a standardized old country ballad, a country singer. A huge guy will come out and do it, or whoever's big in the new generation, rapper or whatever, will come out and pay homage to somebody at some point. Like J. Cole did the thing with TLC, and something will always kind of bring it back to the forefront. And I think it's always I think it's always been like that. It'll always be there. I kind of dig when stuff gets reinvented. Properly. Not like how Lil Yachty and
not like
did
forced.
It Takes Two or something, like not corny like that. Like, I don't need to hear you redoing songs. Just take them and do it. And flip it. When it's flipped properly, I think it's super dope. And I think it's great that it gives exposure, to the past, because hopefully, you'll get to intuitive people that'll really search and be like, oh, I didn't know who this was. Like when Kanye did Paul McCartney, and they're like, who's Paul McCartney? You're like,
exactly, yeah. It's like, oh man,
stabbed them in the eye.
Oh
but
man.
At the same time, yeah, they
what
should.
Do you mean? Who's
probably
Paul
don't,
McCartney?
But they probably don't, because they're 12, 13 years old and they have no business.
Yeah,
knowing
no,
who
that's
he is.
that's very true. Yeah,
but hopefully they would look at that and be like, let me Google who this guy is, and then the Beatles were decades ahead of their genre.
Time, yeah.
With their instrumental or experimental, like they were so far ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
So anybody that would go back and listen to Beatles, if you're a music person, you'd trip the hell out. You'd be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when the Queen movie came out, and I was YouTubing some stuff, and they had like young generation first time listening to Bohemian Rhapsody. It's hilarious, because they're like, what the hell is this?
It's like you've known this track forever.
You see people that understand how complex a song like that is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I love it. Like, and we talked about this before when we were eating. Like, think of these guys that made these songs in the 60s and 70s. Still to this day, you can listen to a song like that and be like, wow.
Timeless.
And think of a song that was made in the last 10 years that you can listen to today and be like, wow.
Much harder.
You probably can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it got washed away super quick. So it's like, I wouldn't say there's a sound that would come back, but I would definitely love that power of a song to come back.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't hear it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Even songs that are monsters, like, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran was a monster everywhere you went. but you don't even hear it anymore. Or when you hear it, it doesn't have that feeling.
The
to it
same
anymore.
feeling as
when you hear it now. You're either burnt out from it, or you're like, it's a good song, but,
but it's like
I can live without
yeah.
it. But go back and listen to something from early 2000s or 90s or even Backstreet Boys or even like whatever it is. But
I
you
grew
hear
up
those
on that.
but you hear those songs now, and it's not that it even sparks the nostalgia, but it was just good music that lasts the test of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think, asking me before about like how I feel about DJ lasting this long, like I'm a classic song. You know what I mean? In a sense, but that's what it is.
That's like
look at that stank face.
But that's basically the way you can equate it. Is like I'm basically that song that you can still listen to and it's still cool. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And
that's dope.
That's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So that new generation now has to figure out how to do that, if that's what they want.
Yeah,
like a lot of these guys, a lot of people. It's like I said, it's all quick. It's all short term. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's guys that just popped up on the scene making more than all these so-called classic rappers.
But it comes down to like, well, not for everyone, but for like
except for the business guys like Jay-Z, Nas, and these guys are business.
But like
so
impact,
they got money.
It's like impact on the culture. Is like,
they got money we don't even see, and it has nothing to do with what they're making from the music.
Right.
They just have money.
Yeah.
But I mean, just look through music and classic people and legendary songs, and most of these guys have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's just they weren't able to follow up on it.
Yeah.
Bad business, whatever it is. But at least they'll have something. But to think of that new guy that has that hit and then blows all his money away, and then at the end of the day doesn't even have music anymore.
Washed out. Yeah.
What was the purpose? You made somebody happy for a couple months. Cool. I'm glad you did, but at least have something like
greater than
try
that.
and create something that's something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I really like that. Yeah.
It's frustrating when you see like these Soulja Boys and all that who are strictly social media stars. But it's funny. Let's see how people laugh. But we have these conversations in our DJ group.
Exactly.
It's a lot of young guys and old guys in our group. But it's like, as funny as it is to say, it's like this is their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So his legacy is that he's social media clown. Which again is cool if he can, flip it into something else and be something else.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, look at 50's legacy. Was getting shot 9 times.
Yeah.
But look what he turned it into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got classic music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
dope.
I've always, you know what I mean, as much as people, crap on old school mentality and old school parties and all that, classics never die. Ever. You can go in any party, young or old, whatever their level of classics is. If you play it, they'll go crazy.
They'll go crazy, yeah.
Even if your level of classic is 2 years ago, you play that shot from 2 years ago, they go bananas.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with an older crowd, you play that 70s shot, they go crazy. So classics never die. Anthems never die. Ever. So create an anthem. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it is. Like, there's anthems in every genre. There's anthems in everything. There's legendary clothing that resurfaces. Like, people are wearing Troop and shit, which is way before your guys' time, but it becomes cool again now. And it was cool then, but there's also a lot of labels that don't become cool again.
Right.
How come? You know what I mean? Like, unless you can somehow reinvent yourself or make it cool or make it legendary or anthemic or whatever it is, there's no purpose to it.
It's very true. All right, I just want to give you a quick minute to talk about any projects or anything coming out that we can look forward to.
We talked about some projects, but just find me. You guys can find me somewhere.
It's should be on the screen.
From scratch.
There you go. You can find me.
Social media, but find them on
iHeartRadio app. I have my own channel on the radio app. You can find me there. Virgin every day. Starting from scratch on Instagram. You'll find me occasionally. Twitter, you'll see me reposting because I don't tweet. Okay. And for the most part, you can find me somewhere. Just wherever your musical ears want to go, I'll be somewhere in there.
When's your next gig? Do you have anything lined up?
I have a gig tonight.
Tonight.
At the 4th. But I have my parties that I do that are my party. But just hit me up. You'll find out. If you really wanna find out, you know where to find me.
Should be on the screen, right? Yeah. Perfect.
Plus
right
it's on
here
the screen.
somewhere.
Right there.
All right,
there,
awesome.
Am I pointing to it? Down?
So just
there.
You got it.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so just give us 20 seconds and we'll be right back with the beat reveal.
Let's go.
All right, just gotta set this mic up.
Like, this is fine?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just take turns.
All right, okay, cool.
Mike.
All right, dope. Are we good? Wait, did you... we got to play the beat, man.
True.
All right. All right, dope. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story, man. Like, you gave some hella insightful answers, and what I loved about this episode is just you went into such depth and everything, and just imparting your knowledge as an OG onto us.
Yes.
Really appreciate that, so thank you.
I think it's cool that you guys are willing to listen.
Hell yeah, man.
There's so much to learn, though.
There's so much to learn. We really appreciate it. Like, we learned a lot. Like, I think just learning from you and all your experiences. So we appreciate you even taking the time. And yeah, man, other than that, it was like hella fun making this beat too. It was different. Like, it was definitely a different process than we usually do. You challenged us for sure. So we're going to play this. This is the beat that we just created in the past hour, inspired by your story. And then we'll just break down our logic of why we added the different parts. All right, cool. Is he on? Oh, Scratch is on the. Yeah. Everyone's in shot.
Okay, we're gonna go live there.
That's Tony's phone, by the way. That's like a Matrix feel to it. I feel like I'm fighting in the Matrix.
Yeah, Pitbull.
Back in the day, getting my way, making some fortune, don't keep hating. I ain't gonna make my fate. Your life is
Is that my voice?
It's not your voice. I would imagine we resampled it. That'd be crazy.
Your voice.
Yeah.
All they do was pretend.
Dope. So thank you for sharing your story.
I
That's
definitely gonna need to see how that relates to my story.
100%. I think we got. Should I start then?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, dope. So since I
I'll
started,
get out of
let
the
me-
frame for this.
All right, dope. So let me begin. Am I in frame, Danny? We good?
You're okay.
All right, dope. So to start things off, we talked about your latest epiphany. There were so many jewels just in that, but pretty much I based this whole intro off that first. Like you were saying a lot of things. You were talking a lot about like pressure. So I wanted to like pull this sort of. It's like a spray bottle with like pressure basically that we sampled. That's sort of bubbling up to like this pressure, and then eventually you hear a phone. Because you're talking a lot about this digital age and like the anxiety that comes along with it. And
That
was
part I
important.
got.
Yeah. You also said you
Do I
couldn't
have to
find
go to
your.
the washroom, so you made.
No. But you said you couldn't find your rhythm. So to represent that, I sort of added this like very offbeat sort of percussion that we fucked up on purpose. That's kind of falling off beat to represent you not finding your rhythm. But eventually, you sort of like said you took a break, and yeah, it's like I mean there's a lot of depth to your answer, so we had to represent it. And eventually, you said like you had to step back and just stop, right? And so that's what this part of it before the beat drops, like you put down the phone, and then it sort of starts from there. So AP added this. I'll let AP explain this, but he added like this sort of cheering effect here, right? But you also talked about like back in the day, you had to like be okay with the booze. You had to be okay with adding something more. Like if you just do you, like you got to take the risk of like having the middle fingers and the booze and whatnot. So we had this a bit more experimental section where like it felt authentic to us because we always make this like distorted shit that people might not like, but it's just us. The bass here is more distorted, so that's like authentic to us. And to pair it off, we have this like
That's
sort of
the Matrixy.
That's the Matrixy feel, and then you have like the booze in the background to represent like being okay with people not fucking with what you're doing, but as long as you're okay with that, you're grounded. So, and then eventually you talked about being more grounded later in life and finding that happiness in Toronto. So AP started this section, but what it represented to me was like just being grounded and happy. Like having gone all the places you've gone and all the success that you've sort of garnered, like now being happy at home and knowing what's right for you specifically and not for other people, you know? And it's dope because AP added this in and I just built on it. You said you love being home. And then this last, all these little vocal samples you found at the end.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, so this says, your life is fake. So you're talking a lot about like, just everybody being fake, and like the DJs like at that 20-person club and whatnot. So that's what this represents. But you also talked about the era you came from.
That should be a straight up real song.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Maybe
just
we will.
Honestly, that should be.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Just call it reality.
Thank you. Fact. Oh, dropping bars.
That shit.
Let's go. You got that 15%.
That will go down to Cali Love and make that like an actual item on the menu.
We'll make it reality. We'll make reality a menu item. And then we have, like, you talk a lot about back in the day when you grew up and, like, it being different. Like, you had to do it your way, so. And that's another sample we found. And then again with your life is fake. Because all they do is pretend.
What is that last part?
All they do is pretend.
I actually think that part. I probably should have taken that part out. I think it says your girlfriend is fake.
That's what I thought.
Not as relevant, but I mean, for some of these rappers, it is relevant. So yeah, so that's my part. I'll let AP step up and explain his part.
For the record, I have a wife, not a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I want my wife saying this and be like, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah, no, but that quote is not talking about you. It's talking about what you were talking about others.
Put it out there publicly. There's no side chick.
So when I got here, there was just all these sound effects at the beginning that Ro was explaining to you. I was like, okay, what do I do with these? And so I know you're a big fan of like just throwbacks and just that's like your style of DJing. So in terms of sound selection, what I did is like just the drums I chose are like very like boom bappy like older drums along with a live bass. So I just played those two out just to give it that vibe overall to it. And then what I did here, you talked about anxiety and also feeling like you were in a box. So I want to represent that on a sonic level. So what I did here actually was... So that part...
The filter?
Yeah, the filter, it sounds like you're a bit more like it's... The reason I put the crowd in is that I imagined it like a scene where you're kind of DJing, but like you're kind of getting into your own head. So I want to like filter out the crowd and you're just kind of going into that box in your head.
You're impressing your own teammates.
Yeah, we have no idea. I just heard it. I was like,
it's cool because so I did that and I assumed like this section was about anxiety because I just had a feeling that's why he chose the sounds he chose and the distortion. So I just decided to go along with that and like just improve on it too. And then what I did at the end is I just half-timed everything and added in these chords. And actually Ro was actually right about why I did that. I actually did that to represent a more grounded time in your life where it's a bit more introspective and like also you're more awareness. Right, so and also slowing down, like literally just slowing down, right? Like just I added the phone sound effect again here, followed by that. So basically, just disconnecting, slowing down. Like social media is way too fast paced. Like just pulling back, slowing down there, and that's it. Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, and then the bass was just on the whole theme of the drums and the bass just being a bit more older. So yeah, that's the beat.
Okay.
explanation's pretty intense.
It's usually how.
Yeah,
it
we
goes
like
on
to
the
think
show.
of it as like a sonic essay, but thank you, because like this, we wouldn't even be able to make this without the depth that you went into, and like you gave us some hella mindful answers. We already said it, but like we learned a lot, so really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you
Pleasure.
for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you for
and it's-
driving down.
Yeah, and
For
he
this,
drove
like-
down like with Tony like 45 minutes. So we really for people that you've never met in your life. So we want to say like thank you for continuing to support. Yeah, and you just supporting, you know, creatives who might be a generation apart or whatever, and continuing to support. Couple generations apart. You know, it means a lot to us. And like when you first said you'd come on the show, I'm pretty sure our group chat was on fire. We were like, what? This is crazy.
Flame emojis.
All flame emojis. So we really appreciate that. Thank you for your time. So you can follow him, social media, started from scratch. Follow us, Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. Keralanka. We are Keralanka. We're corny as fuck with the music bangs. And thank you for tuning in to episode 7. We'll see y'all next week. Woo!
Dope episode.
All right. Just in time. Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah. Audio off.